care of business. So, but if we read the verses that we just did, we can see the Lord created the world and he entered into it as well. Okay, so this is my mess. I'm going to enter it also and live in it and do the things that I'm expecting everyone else to do. So at least from our perspective, the Lord didn't just create and disappear. He said, okay. And that we're going to let everybody figure things out for themselves. Like, I'm going to create it and I'm going to live in the house that I just built. And I'm going to enter it and show everybody what to do, what not to do. And at the same time, I'm going to do certain things that look like they shouldn't be done. And then I'm going to do certain things. So let me repeat that. That I'm going to enter this world. I'm going to show everybody the things that you should do, explain the philosophy, the things that you shouldn't do, and also then do things that look like shouldn't be done. But by doing such things, I'm going to show that I'm transcendental to all the rules that I've established. So he does all of that. And that's what's being talked about. So the things that, let's see here. He says, to please his parents, he killed certain enemies like Kamsa, because Kamsa had made their life difficult. So throughout, the Lord, he lived like a householder, but at the same time, he transcended the household ashram by marrying 16,000 queens. But it's not the same as like Ravana, who went around forcefully dragging women from their palaces, killing their husbands, destroying the whole kingdom, kidnapping the women he wanted, and by force against their will, keeping them. Big difference. He rescued them. Let's see, which verse is it? There in the house of the demon, all the princesses kidnapped by Narakasura at once became alert upon seeing the Lord. So these were 16,000 princesses who had been kidnapped from their kingdoms, forcefully being kept under the control of Narakasura. And he was doing whatever he wanted with them. So when the Lord killed the demon, all of these women were just there. And it's not that he wanted to marry them. They were saying that, well, who's going to marry us now? Like, we've been kept prisoned, like sex slaves or whatever. Probably that's what's happening. Like, who's going to, we're done. I mean, they might have even been better off over there. Like, at least there's somebody to watch over them. Even though it's a demon, like at least they have a house to live in. But now what are they going to do? Live on the streets? Kind of back then, that's might have what would have happened. It's hard to say. It's a pretty bad situation. And so he agreed to take them under his care and protection. So when we hear about the Lord marrying 16,000 queens, it's not like he's traveling around the universe. Ooh, I like that one. Ooh, let me take that one there. Oh, I'll take 3 of those and 2 of those and 5 of those and give me a dozen here. No, it wasn't like he's shopping, right? He wasn't at like Dunkin' Donuts saying, taking a dozen donuts. Okay. Just to kind of clarify that in a funny way. Because sometimes people are like, oh, he married 16,000. Yeah, but he was actually doing it out of kindness. Or these 16,000 ladies would have just been wandering and probably been taken advantage of, actually, if you think about it. Would have been taken advantage of by some other demon, some other cruel guy. Who knows what would have happened to them? So just to keep that whole perspective in mind. And he took them in. And not only that, all those princesses were lodged in different apartments. So the Lord gave each one their own apartment, residence. He gave each one of them a space. And the Lord simultaneously assumed different bodily expansion, exactly matching each and every princess. So he expanded himself in a way to make himself available for every one of them. And importantly, simultaneously. So Krishna there was 16,000 of him, one for each wife. So he did what he did out of kindness for them, compassion for them, so they wouldn't be struggling in the rest of their life. He gave them each an apartment, and we're not talking about like a Gainesville apartment. These are like palatial apartments. So I'll just put this in. I was just on a trip to Istanbul not too long, a little sightseeing. And while there, we visited this palace of, I don't know, this Muslim ruler that had lived like 400 years ago. He had his own palace. I just thought of this. And then he had a separate palace for his collection of ladies. And, he was a ruler, so he could do that kind of thing, but, he could take whoever he wanted. He had each one had their own apartment, and it was very opulent. So you could walk around, you could like, oh my gosh, he really set everyone up. And so I was just thinking he treated them well because he wanted them to be happy as I guess, whatever that definition is. But here we can imagine this is the Lord giving each one. It says the word apartment is used here. And when we hear apartment, we think like a one bedroom. But you have to remember, these are in palaces. They're made of marble, and even the furniture will blow your mind if you see it, right? So they were living like queens, basically. They literally were living like queens. And he could expand himself so none of them would feel neglected. None of them would feel neglected. And not only that, he was able to give his equal time and attention and love to every single one of them. So this is what I was saying that earlier, that the Lord enters into this world, does the things that an average person's supposed to do, but then he takes it to a whole other level to show that I'm transcendental. That I can satisfy emotionally, financially, mentally, spiritually, I can satisfy 16,000 wives. And we know in our friendships, in our marital relationships, it's hard to satisfy one person. It's hard for any one spouse to fully satisfy another. It's practically impossible because our demands are unlimited. We have so many demands. Somebody does one nice thing. Now you're like, it'd be nice if they did that too. How this is great, but now that would be nice if I could get that as well. So it's just like unlimited. And he was able to do that. And not only that, listen to this. The Lord begot in each and every one of them 10 offsprings. Each and every one. 16,000 times 10, our mathematician over here. 160,000? Yeah. 160,000 kids running around. Little Krishnas. And they all had enough to survive, to live. No food stamp situation, none of that, right? No government subsidized housing. They were all living in palaces. They were all doing well, right? They were all doing really, really well. So this is where the Lord takes it to another level. Boom, like, okay, yes, I'm here doing the humanly thing, but bam, here I'm not. And don't try to imitate it, because you try, you're going to fail miserably. Really, really miserably. And everyone you're trying to take care of is going to be miserable. So, and that's the unique thing about Krishna. What's amazing is that he enters the world and then he engages in this world. And I think that's one aspect of God. I believe it's just not available. And I'm not trying to here say like, oh, we're better than others, but it's just factually, it's just not available on this planet. Maybe on other planets, God's, different traditions talk about it, but it's just not talking about in such a personal way. You can see what God's doing. It's like a movie here. You can see all the demons he's killing, how he's interacting with his family, his relatives, his wife, his kids, his aunts, his uncles, his friends, his brothers. It's like his whole life is on display for us to understand and study. Not just, in a sentimental way, but it's here for our study. And it deserves our study and analysis. It's there for that purpose. Like our intellect should also be involved in understanding the Lord's pastime, but it should be involved with a certain sense of humility that I'm going to try my best to understand this, but I know that I fully can't. And here in the verse that I'm reading today, Prabhupada, the translation is clearly saying that no one therefore can put his faith in Lord Krishna's transcendental sense activities, but for one who has become a devotee of the Lord by rendering devotional service. So that means we can try to understand him, and not only can, we should try to understand him. It is our duty to use this mind and intellect, this brain, while we engage in the material world and figuring out our life and how to live our life in a healthy and positive manner. We need to dedicate a portion of our brain power to understanding the Lord and his activities. But do it with a humility that I'm never going to fully get this unless he himself says, you know what? I'm flipping a switch, now you get it. I'm flipping a switch and now you get it. I remember I had this experience once. And it's, you know what, you have certain experiences in your life that are just right here anytime you want, whether they're good or they're miserable, but you just never forget them. Even though I come from a kind of a Hindu background, I always had a hard time understanding when Prabhupada was saying, God is a person, Krishna is a person, Krishna is a person. And I was like, what is he talking about? Like, literally, it was almost like he was speaking a foreign, like, alien language. I'm like, what does that mean? Person? Like, literally, I can't tell you my confusion. I couldn't understand what, it just wouldn't register. I'm like, what is he talking about? God is a person? Like, it just, like, literally, I could understand the words, God is a person. Like, the English language I understand, God is a person, P-E-R-S-O-N. What it meant, it was almost like he's speaking like literally an alien language. I just struggled with it. It just didn't make any sense. I'm like, well, that's a deity, that's stone, and that he's holding a flute, and there's Radharani. What do you mean? Like, it somehow totally was going over my head for like the first year or two. One day I'm sitting in the Brooklyn Temple. That's New York is sort of where I dove into Krishna consciousness. Sitting in the Brooklyn Temple, just like listening to a lecture, probably not even listening to the lecture, just sitting there, looking at the deity. And I think the person giving the lecture said, and God is a person. Something happened. I'm like, I get it. And I couldn't even explain to you what I got. You know what I mean? You get what I'm saying? I got it, but I could not explain to anyone what I just got. But I'm like, oh, okay. But if you were to say, what? Okay. I understand he's a person. How? I have no way of explaining. You get this, I don't know, if you haven't had this, I'm hoping you will have, maybe not for this philosophical point, for some other philosophical point in Prabhupada's book. I remember that moment so clearly, but I still couldn't explain to anyone or to myself what I just got. Like, I got it, but it was in here, no way to explain. And I don't even know if I can fully still explain that, because that was Krishna's gift to me. His own little gift to me, because I was wanting to know the philosophy. And I guess I had a certain level of humility with which I was, in the beginning, you're just like, okay, you're kind of a humble, empty vessel, like, God, fill this. It's later when we have the problem, like, hey, I'm good, I'm filled up, I know what I'm doing, right? That's when the bowl is already full and God's like, well, I can't really pour much more in here until you like get rid of some of this. And basically that we're filling it up with pride. We're not filling it up with knowledge until you get rid of some of this. It's not no more is coming in. So because I think I was approaching him in that way, he gave me a little something, that little treasure of revealing a small aspect of him. Because we have to start there to understand he's a person. And when we understand he's a person, and then we understand that he goes beyond the modes of passion and ignorance, then we can stop misunderstanding all the things he's doing. Like here, far out statement, right? He's like, the verse previous to mine, but at last his detachment, like he says that he can perform sex just by seeing with his eyes. Like all his senses can do all of this thing. Now you can try to like understand that. Probably, wouldn't want to meditate on that too long. What exactly? But he can eat with his nose. He can hear with his eyes. It's just, and again, this is his gift to give us. When he decides to let us know, how the heck is it that he can eat with his eyes? Can you imagine the moment we get that realization? You're going to just get up and run around the block and probably not stop till it's night, because that's how powerful it is. Do you agree? Like, just imagine the moment. The knowledge is there. He just has to unlock that door. It's locked behind a certain door in your brain. And he'll be like, okay, yes, this devotee is ready for this. And you know what? You won't even know that you're ready for it. And it's going to happen at some unpredictable moment, at some unpredictable time in your life. He's just going to say, you're ready, you've served, you're humble, click. And you're going to be like, you won't know what to do with yourself in that moment. And that's going to be a powerful and ecstatic moment. And you know what? What's even more exciting? There's thousands of these doors locked away in our mind. All the knowledge of God is right there already. And we're just humbly waiting and doing our duty in the meantime for him to start unlocking these doors. And every single mystery about the universe is already within us. It's already within us. There's nothing that isn't. But he has to reveal it. Just like in the Bhagavad Gita, when Krishna shows Arjuna the universal form. Arjuna, I'm not remembering right now exactly, Krishna says, I'm only showing you a little fragment of myself. So for those who may or may not be familiar with the universal form, Krishna shows Arjuna everything. Like the whole universe inside of him sort of comes out of him. Arjuna is able to see, and this is really fascinating, he's able to see within the Lord past, present, and future. Imagine seeing this sort of like, and I'm not just talking about flying from one time zone to another. You're seeing the past. Like imagine watching 3 screens and like you're seeing the entire past. You're seeing the present and you can see everything that's going to happen. Imagine that mind-blowing concept. Imagine what Arjuna went through when he saw that. Just can you imagine if all of a sudden immediately you could see all the history of the world that's happened. And imagine if simultaneously in your brain, you could see the past and the future, everything that's going to happen in the world in the future. I mean, I think you'd probably lose your mind, right? It's too much. It's way too much because we forget what we did last weekend. So Arjuna, and then Krishna told Arjuna, there's so much I can show you and so much I can tell you. That's in the 10th, I think, chapter. He's like, my potencies are literally unlimited. And obviously, Arjuna, you have a battle to fight. So if I keep telling you about myself, that everyone's going to get just sitting around waiting. I'm sure that in ecstasy, some of them. But then, like, everybody would eventually just die, and we're just still having this conversation. Therefore, he's like, my potencies are unlimited. So I'll stop there, right? And so, but Krishna then has to, and before even Krishna revealed his universal form, he said, I'm going to give you the eyes to see this form, because with your eyes, you can't see this form. So, so when we engage in devotional life, just know that whatever we know right now, and whatever we think we know right now, is like when you go to the ocean and you see the sand, just know that you only have 1 grain of sand. And if you take all the oceans combined, all the sand in all the oceans, we have 1 grain of sand of knowledge. Maybe that's even a lot. And imagine how many grains of sand, when you pick up even a palm full of sand, how many tens of thousands of grains fall out. when you just kind of drop it, right? So that's how little we know so far. And even in that, we know so much. Even in that, we know so much. So the interesting formula is, how do you know if you're headed in the right direction for gaining more knowledge? If you're becoming the right kind of vessel? A truly humble devotee really understands that they know nothing. And it's not something that they say to make themselves sound humble. They truly feel like, I don't know. Like I just have a grain of sand and that's all. And the one who's kind of filled up is thinking, I know quite a bit. I know a lot. I think I know how to make this work. I figured it out. And true, there are certain things in our life that we will have to figure out. But it's a very tricky and interesting balance where you're learning while you're keeping your vessel empty. That's kind of hard because you naturally get proud. When you get, you're like, I got. Oh, but I got it by the mercy of the Lord. I got, okay, but this is by the mercy of the Lord. So just that little, but genuinely saying like, this is by the mercy of God. And whether it's good or it's bad, right? Whether it's good or bad, whatever we got, say, oh, this is by the mercy of the Lord too, for my own purification. Oh, I got this. This is by the mercy of God. And that way, Krishna sees we have the right attitude and he keeps giving. And let's see here. And this is a very powerful, all these verses are powerful. So every living entity is controlled by a supernatural force, and thus his enjoyment is also under the control of that supernatural force. So what's the supernatural force, right? That's controlling us. It's the modes of nature. It's the mind and senses that are controlling us. And the mind is such a powerful thing, right? It's such an incredibly powerful thing that's totally controlling us. And if we don't take care of our mind, you should know that we're not going to be able to understand much philosophy at all. There is so when I'm talking about the mind, I'm talking about our own sort of mental health, well-being, our physical well-being. Sometimes when we get into a transcendental philosophy society, we can start ignoring our own well-being. Like, okay, I'm just going to chant and dance, eat more prasadam that I can handle, and Krishna will take care of everything. We've assigned Krishna as our personal doctor. Like, he's our primary care physician. But I don't think he signed up for that. We have signed him up for that. It's like, all right, Prabhu, you've been signed up for pot washing for the next 10 years. And you're the toilet cleaner for the next 15. No, we can't sign God up for anything. We don't sign God up. We don't sign Krishna up for anything. He's independent supremely, just in case anyone's confused about that, just to clarify that. Supremely independent. He's not our mental health counselor. He's not our marriage counselor. He's not our financial advisor. He's not our tax person. He's not our nurse, not our babysitter, right? He ain't none of that. So we shouldn't try to put him in all of those categories. Really shouldn't. Because that's our imposition. He's never saying he's going to take care of all of these things. He comes here and takes care of his business. He doesn't fight Arjuna's battle for him, remember? And who are they? They're the best buddies. They're totally the best buddies. They're cousins. He's driving his chariot, but he's not fighting his battle for him. He's letting him fight his own battle. He's advising him, just like through the Gita and these scriptures, he's advising us as well. So we should know that Krishna is here to guide us. He sent devotees to help us. But in the end, we have to use our intelligence and our own good decision making to do the things that are right for us. Keep our mind right, keep our health in a good space, do the things we need to do to keep our physical, mental, and emotional well-being in check. So if anyone has any physical ailments or mental challenges, illnesses, it's our responsibility to take care of them. If we want to understand Krishna consciousness properly, you can't do it with a broken body and a broken mind. And I think that's really important to understand. And I know it's something that I say in practically every one of my talks, but I feel very strongly about it. Because our mind gives us the ability to understand things. And if our mind is damaged from previous hurt, previous traumas, previous pain, previous experiences, and if we think we can just ignore it, it'll go away by chanting Hare Krishna, it actually won't. It's going to remain there till you die, unless you address it. Chanting Hare Krishna, eating prasadam, yes, they provide relief. They provide the soul with some upliftment. They're getting rid of the conditioning of the soul, but still, our mental health and our physical health and our emotional well-being are things that we have to address. And usually these things are addressed through the help of another professional qualified to help with that. If you broke your leg, you're not just going to ask a fellow devotee in the ashram, hey, I broke my leg, can you fix it? No, you have to go to the emergency room. And there are people there that know how to deal with it. Same goes for our mental health. If there are any difficulties and challenges, don't be embarrassed to seek help for that. Just like if you break your leg, you're not embarrassed to tell someone, hey, I think I have a broken leg, or I need a root canal, I need a dentist. So if there are challenges anyone's experiencing with your mind, in terms of depression or anxiety, whatever, or panic attacks, whatever, it's normal for the mind to experience those things when we haven't taken care. Any part of your body you neglect, you see what happens after a few years. If you don't cut your hair or wash it, imagine what's going to happen after a few years. It's going to be a disaster zone up there. You don't clean any part of your body, it's going to turn into a disaster zone after a few years. When was the last time when we actually took care of our mind and mental health? Think about it. It's a very logical sort of analogy that I'm giving here. If you don't pay attention to anything, there's a garden, let's say you neglect it for a year, you wouldn't want to go anywhere near that garden. And in this building, you don't clean it for a year, imagine what's going to happen. So what about this? Because we can't see it, we think we don't need to worry about it. No, we do need to worry about it. So these are the supernatural forces that are controlling us. And there's many. But if we take care of ourselves while we're chanting, while we're cleaning the temple, while we're serving devotees, while we're doing outreach, then that's going to have the most impact on our outreach and our spiritual development. Because that is the foundation of everything else. If your mental health's not good, nothing else can really stand on that for long term. So anyways, I wanted to share that message. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. Very purifying to be able to speak, to think about Krishna's pastimes, and to share one grain of sand of realization that I have about some of these things. So, do we have time for Q&A, or should we conclude? A few minutes for any Q&A or discussion or comments. Yes, Ru.
Thank you for the class. There's so many great topics. I really liked the aha moments of Krishna consciousness. And then you started to talk about how Krishna is supremely independent. I was like, oh, that's because he's the most loving person ever, and love is independent. Like you have to be independent to love. And yeah, it's always nice to it's like opposite, because like the more humble we become, the more he's kind of unlocking the door.
Yeah.
So it's like the less we think we know, the more we get to know.
Yeah, it's an interesting formula.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hi, Krsna. Just saying thank you for, I really enjoyed everything you shared. And I really like it, especially actually what you're talking about at the end, because I've actually personally experienced and witnessed a lot of people, including myself at times, go to spirituality for escapism, and then, chanting mantras and doing spiritual practices in a way that ends up being something that feels good, so that way we can ignore some deep down issues. And so like recognizing that can happen, and like not fooling ourselves, is wisdom that is not always easy to see. So sometimes it's challenging. That's all I'm sharing. And thank you.
Thank you for sharing that.
All right,
Appreciate
cool.
it.
Yeah, it's funny how Krishna works. This morning, my friend texted me, and he said, the level of humility that you show to Krishna is the amount that he will reveal to you. So the more humble you become, the more he reveals. And that connection with that sand analogy that you said is, I remember reading the vastness of the shore on the ocean. We can only grasp like a handful of sand, like you said, and so much falls past, and trillions and trillions of grains on the whole entire shore of knowledge. So, and then like so humility is so important, because then if you look at it from that, we're like the speck in the Milky Way on Earth, and then we can only grab one grain of sand. How humility, like humbling is that? We're nothing. Our existence is really nothing. Our difficulties, anxieties are nothing compared to like the existence of entire reality.
Yeah.
So I appreciate it. That's cool.
And even say that they're nothing for us, our challenges are still significant. In the bigger scheme, yes, they're not, but in order for us to move forward, our own challenges have to be addressed. But yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you so much for the class. It's a very pertinent verse, especially given we're at the wake of Radhashmi. Like on these holy days, we are given so much mercy to experience joy in service. And well, particularly for me, I feel that on a daily basis, we are we have the responsibility to try to connect with Krishna, and that kind of relates to this verse or your talk is that we try to render devotional service to the Lord, bearing in mind that it's not for our pleasure, it's not for us to feel like, oh, I've done a great job, and to seek sort of sense gratification in that way, but to actually go beyond, like to actually undertake some hardships for the sake of the Lord, but at the same time kind of keeping the balance of not overdoing or just kind of spiritually bypassing everything and just think, oh, I'm doing so much and I'm suffering, and
Yeah.
I'm still doing it just to please the Lord. So it's kind of like it's an interesting internal balance and state to find that honesty to actually admit, no, I'm not doing this actually at all for the pleasure of the Lord. I'm actually doing it for myself, and to try to develop that consciousness somehow or other. Hopefully, that aha moment comes and suddenly we kind of get it. But it is a process. I was thinking of that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I thank you. And I think that is very important. Sometimes we can feel that I have to take on a lot. And that's the only way Krishna is recognizing us. But yeah, it could also just be, it could be ego-based, that we're getting recognized by others, like, oh my gosh, you're doing so much. Wow, you're incredible. Like, generally people do that sometimes for that purpose, right? And if you're taking on so much that you're miserable, and devotional service is supposed to be susukham kartam abhyam, so it's supposed to be joyfully performed. So when the joy is leaving, I think there's something to analyze. So how do you know if you're taking too much? If the joy is gone or is not there, then maybe it's important to analyze, like, hey, am I doing way beyond my capacity? Am I starting to resent it? Because that's not, I don't think that's how Krishna wants us to experience devotional service, right? And I think there's a healthy level of pushing than an unhealthy level. And too often we can go into the unhealthy level. So we do have to, that's what I mean, like staying in touch with our mind and emotions, and our body and our mental health. Like, am I really disliking this? Or yeah, I'm still doing it. It feels good still. Not that we should always listen to the mind, because one day you may not feel good, the next day you may feel really good again. So not jumping to conclusions over one quick, oh, I hated making the garland state. I'm not doing it again. That's also impulsive. Or the next day, like, oh, it felt good. Or maybe the next day was kind of neutral. So, okay, keep it going. Just stay in touch with yourself. Do a healthy amount, because I think it's important to remember we're in it. This is like it's a marathon, devotional life. Our sadhana, everything, it's a marathon. We're in it for the long run. Too many people come into it like a sprint. Come in, hey, Jan, 16, okay, wash the dishes, clean the toilet. 6 months later, it's like if you go into a 26-mile marathon and go all out in the first 100 meters, you're done. And a lot of people do that. So we have to remember, it's a marathon, and this marathon actually started many lives ago. Keep that in mind, the bigger picture. And this marathon may not end in 40, 50 years when the body dies. It may go on for the next one. So we have it may not, I don't know. We're all on a different journey. So just keeping the bigger picture in mind, that, hey, I have a long ways to go. It's okay. Let me enjoy the journey. Make it joyful, right? And it's not easy, but try your best, right?
How do you stay motivated and do devotional service and what's the word? Happy state of consciousness.
I don't think it's possible to always remain motivated, because if you're having a bad day, you're having a bad day. You know what I mean? And I think if let's say something sad is happening in your life, something distressing, something difficult, you can't be like, hey, I'm just going to be motivated, because I feel that you're pushing down the pain in your mind and heart, suppressing it, and putting whipped cream on top of I think everything is fine. But it's not. Our human emotions, this when somebody has monitors attached to their heart, and you have the EKG reading, and it's it does this, right? So it's up and it's down, it's up and down. So up and down is normal. The flat line is the problem. You could say, hey, that looks really steady. That looks really steady. I want that. That's samadhi. Yeah, I don't know if we're ready for that samadhi, right? So the point is, I know it sounds funny, but there's ups and downs are normal. You're not going to wake up always feeling motivated. And that's okay. That's all right. We don't want to neglect our state of being. And depends on how down or up or down if you're feeling down, then maybe you need somebody to talk to in that moment. It's like, I'm just feeling not motivated. I'm feeling really down. I just needed to talk to someone. And then maybe after talking with you're not motivated, but you're actually feeling a little bit better because somebody was there to hear you out, not judge you. And that's what you did for yourself to get back to the motivated platform. And recognize that, hey, I'm not going to be motivated every day. I'm going to be, maybe I went from down here, at least I came up here, but you took the steps to reveal your mind to somebody reasonable, someone mature, someone thoughtful, that's your responsibility. If you reveal it to the wrong person, that's also your responsibility. You can't blame that person. Maybe they gave you the wrong advice. Maybe they weren't the right person. And you chose them, right? So yes, maybe they shouldn't have opened their mouth either if they're not qualified. But you went to them. Maybe they didn't know how to handle it. Like, oh, well, don't worry about it. You're going to be fine. Just chant a couple more rounds and you'll be good. And you feel more depressed after those couple rounds, and because you didn't address the actual issue. It's like if you twist your ankle and someone says, well, just walk around the block, it'll be fine. That's what I did, and then like maybe it worked for them. Maybe they didn't twist their ankle. Maybe they had a cramp and they thought that the same advice is going to work for you, but it didn't. So you see, it's not simple. It can be a little complicated, but I mean, like, you got to stay in touch with yourself. And someday you can get up and feeling great. Some days you may feel miserable. Some days you may feel average. Someday you may feel in between all of this. And all of those are okay to feel. All of those are okay to feel. That is normal. Anyone who's always on a high, I would be suspicious of that person. Either they just had the most amazing upbringing that life could offer. They had the absolute perfection of parents and perfect siblings and a perfect economic and social upbringing situation. Even then, they're going to have their own things. Because even anyone who's been raised in that kind of way, they're going to experience all kinds of challenges because life doesn't go their way. So you're not going to always be motivated. Just know that. And that's totally fine. Who can be? That would be weird, actually. I would say there's something off if someone's always motivated. Because that's what humans aren't they're just not meant to always be. We have a variety of emotions: anger, happiness, sadness, frustration, envy, jealousy, elation. And we're supposed to go through all of them and balance all of them in the right way. Arjuna was depressed on the battlefield. He was pretty much kind of in a little depressed mode. He talked to the right person. We may not have Krishna, but there's plenty of people that can give us the right advice. You have to choose the right people. I mean, this is a conversation can go on and on, but I hope it's helpful. I guess we should stop, right? Yeah. Grantaraj,